Good day, board members. My name is Melo. I'm presenting China Business Environment, Project 1, a comprehensive overview of business opportunities and cultural considerations for international ventures in China. It's narrated by Karen Kyo, Iris Valerio, Melo Bagogo, and Heather Mueller, created by Kristen Kasper. We'll go to the next slide. Hofstede as cultural dimensions. And this help business people understand cross-cultural communication, management, and marketing. This will have a graph which illustrates the 6 Hofstede cultural dimensions, which is power, distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty, and long-term orientation and indulgence. In power distance, China accepts hierarchy order, which means Chinese organization or business will accept a senior without questioning them, versus a USA, which demands justification for inequality. China is also has a mentality or embraces a mentality of we. They do plan and achievements or goals together as a team or as a unity or an organization, unlike the US, which emphasizes on personal achievement. We'll then go to the next slide of communication and scheduling culture. China has a high context cultural culture, and while USA has a low context culture, China accepts indirect communication and relies on nonverbal cues, which means in any forum of business, one has to observe the way they apply their body language so that they're not misinterpreted to be indiscipline, like the Chinese would say. USA has a low context, they accept direct and explicit communication. They value clarity and efficiency, whilst China, as subtle nuances, messages requiring interpretation is how they communicate. And moreover, on top of that, Chinese, when you're doing business in China, you have to bring along or employ your own interpreter so that you are able to have close the gap between the language barrier. The emphasis is on relationships and cultural context in China. Thank you. I'll hand over to my colleague, Iris.
Hi, thank you, Melo. Now, I'm going to talk about the negotiation styles and strategy in China. Indirect communication is about to learn to interpret subtitle messages. Silence is a strategy because they may pause for a time and expect you to speak first. So it's important not to rush during these moments. Having a local representation team is a major advantage, and it can help you understand a subtle message and manage cultural expectations so that you can build strong relationships. Social etiquette plays a big role in negotiations. Meals are about building trust, and it's polite to try old dishes and giving gifts, not too expensive or settle for. Finally, the decision-making process in China is usually a collective decision-making and in government involvement. That's why patience and flexibility are crucial for a long-term success. On the next slide, we have government and politics. China is a single-party state led by the Communist Party, which control political, economic, and social matters. President Xi Jinping has centralized power, launching reforms and campaigns to fight corruption and promote discipline. This creates internal stability, which can benefit foreign companies for consistency. However, international relations present challenges. This business impact caused tensions with the European Union, and in China positions on the global conflict have caused diplomatic friction. For an example, China chose not to attend to the 2025 EU-China summit, signaling deeper geopolitical issue. This tension could lead to stricter trade regulations or shaping business rules. So while China offers predictability in some areas, companies need to prepare for the risk linked to the global politics. On the next slide, we have Economic Freedom Index. When it comes to economic freedom, China differed significantly from the US. Indicators like you can see, property rights, business freedom, and labor freedom are scored pretty low. This means private ownership isn't always well protected. Business face tight regulations, and employers have little flexibility in hiring or firing. China legal systems is also controlled by the government, which weakens the enforcement of contract and intellectual property rights, something that can discourage innovation and foreign investments. While China is a global export leader, its trade policies still includes high tariffs and non-tariff barriers, limiting international market access. For foreign businesses, this creates a regulatory challenges. So making it plan carefully is really important. Now I'm going to leave you with my colleague, Karen.
Thanks, Iris. First, I'm going to present China's business regulatory environment. Looking at the world's, and on the next slide. Looking at the World Bank's Doing Business indicators, China's overall rank is 31st out of 190 economies. This means that China is relatively business-friendly and efficient in some areas, but there are challenges in other areas that could cause some difficulties. China's starting a business rank is 27th, indicating a streamlined process with competitive timeframes and lower costs. But look at China's paying taxes rank, 105th. Using Shanghai as an example, we're looking at a total tax and contribution rate of 62.6%. The average for OECD high-income economies is 39.8. However, China does have bragging rights for enforcing contracts, ranking 5th globally. Here are our recommendations. First, streamlining the business registration process will be essential. Second, we'll take advantage of the strong contract enforcement systems. And third, and most importantly, careful tax planning will be crucial. On the next slide, let's look at China's import tariffs and FTAs. China's tariff system it presents both challenges and opportunities for businesses aiming to import goods. High tariffs on items like agricultural products and finished electronics can make it tough for companies to compete, while lower tariffs on industrial goods and electronic components offer opportunities to save on costs. The 13% VAT and additional charges mean that careful cost calculations are essential. On the bright side, China's membership in the WTO ensures equal trade treatment for all member nations, and its free trade agreements open up further avenues for reducing costs and easing trade. Our recommendations for successfully navigating China's tariff landscape are focus on low tariff products, leverage FTAs, conduct a detailed cost analysis, consider strategic partnerships, and plan for market entry. In our next slide, we'll talk about foreign direct investment. In 2022 alone, China attracted over $189 billion in foreign investments. Investing in China provides access to one of the largest consumer markets in the world, as well as opportunities to partner with leading Chinese firms in sectors like AI, e-commerce, and green technology. Though there are some restrictions on foreign investment in sensitive industries, there are many incentives. Free trade zones exist in Shanghai, Guangdong, and Tianjin. Certain high-tech industries may qualify for reduced tax rates, tax holidays, VAT refunds, and R&D incentives. Our recommendations include, first, evaluating the long-term stability of incentives against regulatory hurdles, including potential changes in government policies. Second, diversifying investments across multiple regions. And third, engaging with local government agencies and industry associations. And now Heather will talk about China's current economic conditions.
Hi. Yes, thank you, Karen, for the introduction. So today we're going to talk about current economic conditions in China. China's GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Products, and PPP, which is Purchasing Power Parity. China's GDP and PPP represents the value of all goods and services into a current year of time. Compared to the US, who is ranked number 9 in the world, China's PPP or GDP is ranked at 73 out of 186. Currently, the US has a higher GDP per capita than China, while China has a larger PPP than the US. From this data, we can see a gradual increase of China's economic growth, which is good for China's economy and favorable for new products entering into the market. China's inflation comparison, we see that over the last 5 years, it has declined dramatically from 1.3 to negative 0.6, which indicates a very healthy economy. Regarding interest rates, they have as well declined. The People's Bank of China, who runs interest rates for China, has been declining over the last 5 years. As of 2025, the interest rates have declined to a low of 3.1, while the Federal Reserve interest rates have risen in the past 5 years with the interest rate of 4.25. And we can see that China's has been, the high was at 4.3. All of this, which are good signs for a healthy economy and growth in the country. On our next slide, we will talk about the key influences of currency in China. Over the past 5 years, the exchange rate between Chinese yen and the US dollar has experienced notable fluctuations. Regarding these fluctuations, there has been trade tensions within China with the US trade war characterized by reciprocal tariffs and significantly impacting exchange rates. In August of 2019, China allowed the yen to weaken past the 7-to-1 ratio against the US in response to new US tariffs, marking a pivotal shift in currency policies. Regarding the monetary policies, divergent monetary policies between the US Federal Reserve and People's Bank of China have influenced capital flows and exchange rates. Economic growth differences. A robust US economy often leads to a stronger USD, while China's economic strategies include export policies and domestic consumption shifts influence yang strength. The market speculation is investors' expectations regarding future economic conditions and policy changes can lead to a speculative trading, causing a short-term volatility in the USD and Chinese yen exchange rates. So the impact that this has on the business is cost management, revenue streams, and financial planning. The fluctuating of the Chinese yen and the USD exchange rates are influenced by various microeconomics and geopolitical factors. For business planning to expand into China's, understanding these dynamics is crucial for effective risk management and strategic decision-making. And our last slide, product ideas. we have come up with 3 different products to enter into the market. Eco-friendly household cleaners, which fulfills a demand of lower demand for growing awareness of health and environment in China for effective eco-friendly household cleaning products. Smart air purifier for households, which gives the air quality concerns, has created a strong demand for affordable, high-quality air purifiers for the everyday household. Universal Smart Home Video Doorbell, which satisfies the need of the middle class, tech-savvy market for affordable home technology that integrates Universal with a home technology. On our last page, if you're interested in finding out more information about the information that we have discussed on our slide, you can find the following cited websites that we have used. On behalf of Bartolomeo, Iris, Karen, and myself, Heather, we thank you for your time and have a wonderful day. Thank you.